Hello, everyone. Our next guest is Sara Stender Delaney. She is the founder of Cirilla Sparkling. I'm just drawn to her vibe. She has this calmness about her, and she's just so cool. Talking to her, I could feel her passion. She's definitely mission driven. She wants to make an impact, and she just gives a care. I truly enjoyed our conversation about what she's building and how and why. So I hope you enjoy it too. Vibes, y'all.
Hey Sarah, how you doing?
Hey Tristan, good to see you.
Likewise, thanks for coming on today.
My
You
pleasure. I'm
know,
excited.
awesome, me too. I'm a fan of your brand, Cirilla, and so I just, wanted to let's just get to it. You are building a beverage with a beverage company that has a lot of purpose and impact. And when someone meets you for this first time and you show them Cirilla, what do you think they see, and what do you wish they saw instead?
Oh, that's a great. I've never been asked that. Interesting. Let's see. What do they see? I think because I'm so passionate and still so excited about it, I do think that the brand reflects probably the best part of myself on a good day, which is like very optimistic and joyful and bright and friendly. I have bad days too, but my goal with our brand design on the package was to really convey that sense of optimism and joy and create an everyday celebration. Just looking at the bright side and knowing for people who maybe are struggling or having a hard time that things will get better. And so it really comes from a place of learning how to be resilient and overcome challenges. And in terms of like what I think people see and I wish they would see, I actually think people pretty much see that. Like that's a lot of the feedback we get. I wouldn't say that was what it looked like when we first came out. We did go through a rebrand, so our original packaging conveyed something a bit different. It had more elements of that gorilla, which is a icon of strength and hope in Rwanda, which is where our tea grows. And it didn't communicate clearly in the US markets. It was coming across as more of an energy drink and more of a masculine, sort of aggressive vibe, which isn't a bad thing, but it wasn't really conveying what was inside. So we went through like a very deep process with our rebrand. It took about 6 months just to get those new labels, not even to the stores, but just to get them ready to print. It felt like a very long process. That was in 2022. So it's not perfect. We're going to go through some more updates here soon on the label, but overall, I'm really happy with how my brand speaks to consumers.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned Rwanda. I'm glad that you mentioned the struggles of entrepreneurship. We're going to go deep into that. So,
Hmm.
thanks for setting that up. But I wanted to,
Hmm.
I want people to know more about the brand because Cirilla, is that like a play? How did you get that name? Was that a play on your name because you're
Hmm.
Sarah? Because
Yeah.
I just think there was like to me I was like,
Mhm.
wow, that's actually that's what caught my attention. Okay, Sarah, because I've been
Yeah.
seeing you on LinkedIn, and then I was like, she must have a cool sense of humor to say Cirilla. Because if I came out with a T, it would be like Trizzy or something, right? Like Trizzy for the fizzy or something like that.
Oh, I
But
like that.
I don't know because I'm like I remember I DM'd you and I said, hey, you're I love tea that is just
Hmm.
carbonated. It just reminds me of Europe and like who does this stuff? Like as soon as I DM'd you, you literally asked for my address and sent that to me. But going back to the name, because I just
Well,
think it
yeah,
was really
because you
cool
don't
and
hear
as a
every
play,
day.
it's like a
Yeah.
word play.
Yeah, it actually is. You don't hear every day that someone loves carbonated tea. Like most people are like, "Whoa, I've never heard of that or thought of that. Like that sounds different." And they're like curious and maybe hesitant, like, "Ooh, you can always tell if someone's like adventurous and that is sort of like, I'll try anything versus people like when we do demos in stores if they're kind of just set in their ways and they're like, yeah, that sounds different. I don't think I can even try it. Um, but yeah, the name again, like with our rebrand, that new name came with it. The original package design was a silverback gorilla, pulled from my experience living in Rwanda. And again, like that area where the Virunga mountain gorillas live in Rwanda is really, really special. It's one of the main tourist attractions for that region. And those creatures were almost extinct in the 70s. And that movie, Gorillas in the Mist, was created to tell the story about what happened with Diane Fossey and the gorillas. And then there were about 45 left in the wild. And then now there's about 1,000, and they live in that mountain range with between Rwanda and Uganda and Congo. So it completely changed my life living there, and I got to trek out into the jungle with the gorillas, and now I do a crop to cup tour almost every year, and people can take a day and do that, have that experience as well. And generally after we leave that trip, it's about 10 days. We do a lot of really cool things, like really impactful bucket list type things. And whenever I ask people like what was the best part of the trip, it's the gorillas. Like hands down, it's so great.
Wow.
So the first brand name we had was Silverback Beverage. It was actually like Silverback carbonated tea. I had it in kegs before I was canning, and so the kegged product was on tap. It was Silverback on tap in bars and breweries. And so then I worked with some designers and we thought, how are we going to take that name Silverback on Tap but put it in a can? So like we went through all these iterations. We had like air quotes around on tap, but it was on the can package, like all these things. We tried like draft tea. That was before like Starbucks used the word draft in their coffee and nitro coffee. So it was a lot of different layers to that. But then what happened, I'll try to make a long story short. It's pretty interesting though. There are two men that were recruited from Rwanda. They lived in the US. They came to the US. Um, I think one of them played for a pretty well-known professional basketball team. And they eventually opened up this coffee shop in LA called Silverback Coffee. And they were genocide survivors, came from
Wow.
Rwanda, survived the 1994 war. And I got a letter from their lawyer, and it was like asking if they had let their trademark expire because I had Silverback trademarked in the coffee and tea category, and they had accidentally let theirs expired, and I didn't know. And so they asked if they could have it back.
Wow.
And I was at this moment of like, okay, it didn't really feel like a word that I should own anyway. Like it was not even my heritage. I was like questioning all of that. And then this happened and I was facing a rebrand, and it was like a perfect moment to be like, okay, take it, it's not mine, and we're just going to rebrand and change out all our labels anyway. And I didn't have to do that, but I felt like it was the right thing to do, and I wanted the opportunity to kind of tap in more about what this whole journey and brand like meant to me on a personal level here in the US, and wasn't just about like a story coming from Rwanda where I'm not even from. It just changed my life when I was living there.
Wow. You are the second person that I know that loves gorillas. A really good friend of
Really?
mine. He's actually in my I'm an entrepreneurs organization, and Ryan Kronholm. That's like I'm gonna give a shout out to him. He loves gorillas, and I go, dude, what is it about gorillas? And that's his spirit animal. So like now I get it.
It's
Like
very
I totally get it now, and because I'm like he has like a gorilla head in his office. Like like
yeah.
when I talk to
Ooh.
him on Zoom, I'm like, dude, what is that gorilla thing? Like with a crown. But I had no idea. That's
I have a
pretty.
gorilla stuffed animal behind me. People think it's a cat on the couch. It's like a gorilla stuffed. It's like my workmate.
No, it's really cool. Like you're that's because I didn't know anything about it, right? And so
hmm
that's why talking to people, you always learn about like, okay, what is it about that? So
Yeah. So
let's
Cirilla is my name combined with gorilla, by the way.
dude, that is like the trizzy for the fizzy,
Because
that's
I
awesome.
like my sister was studying or she lived in Nicaragua for a little while when I was way younger, and I visited her, and there was this woman she was staying with, and she called me Sarilla, and I
Oh,
was like, wow, that's so cute. And so when I went through the rebrand, I was like just struggling like with this name change, right? It's got to be unique, it's got to be like fun and like memorable. But also trademarkable. Like we're not going to have issues in the future with it. Like, so I just decided to create a new word. And like sometimes people will see it in the store and they're like, oh, like Sarilla, like, and that's fine too. You can pronounce it like that. But if they ask me how to say it, I'll say it's Cirilla like gorilla, just so they'll remember.
no, it's really catchy. I haven't said this publicly, but when I used to DJ back in the days, like I'm 47 now, but I was like, what's a really good name? And my name is Tristan, so I just said, you know what, I want to use my name. That's and I used the Cristal bottle back in the days. Everyone would drink Cristal. So I just named myself DJ Tristal, and it kind of backfired because some of the guys that would pronounce it, it's like, hey Tristal. I was like, oh man, that sucks. So
You're like,
that
you need
also
the
happens.
accent.
Yeah. So like if you especially in California, I think I'm like, what is this Sarilla?
And that's
That,
okay. It sounds good. I like it
yeah,
too.
that's so awesome. And then let's go to Rwanda because it seems like you've
Yeah.
traveled to so many places, and now your sister, Nicaragua. You guys are
Yeah.
well traveled.
Yeah.
What is it about traveling and seeing the world that has shaped
Yeah.
you to Sarah today and building a brand with purpose and impact? I'm sure it
I
has a lot
love
to do with
that
it.
topic. I'm still on a trip high right now because my son, who's 15, I just took him to Europe for the first time we just got back like a week ago. So we spent 10 days and traveled. We started in London and made our way over to France and ended in Germany. And I have talked about the trip with a lot of people, and I'm hearing a lot of like kind of surprised that I could pull that off, or just amazement at like the ability to just go to a few new places and figure out how to get around and everything. And um, to me, it's so like almost second nature, and I don't even really take time to be like, good job, I'm proud of myself for doing this, because it just seems like, okay, we're doing this. But we came back with like, not only was it an incredible bonding experience with my son and I, um, but he has this sense of confidence now that's new. And I think now I realize like the whole thing was about building travel confidence and having that security that you can go anywhere in the world and figure it out. So now, like, if he goes back there to any other country, even if he doesn't speak the language, he knows what are the steps to do to get from here to there and to, figure out the metro system and all that. So I'm really grateful that somehow my parents instilled that in me when I was younger. I mean, my mom, we never did European vacations, but like my stepdad was really involved in some projects in the Caribbean. Like we would do a lot of island travel, and some of that was like in very different cultures with some different languages. And then in college, my cousin was studying to be an ornithologist, which is the study of bird life, and he moved to Kenya. And he came back and showed us this slideshow, and it was so impactful to me. And I thought, where is this place? I want to learn more about it. He was older than me. And then I learned about the genocide of Rwanda, like after it happened, after the fact. And I'm thinking, where was I when that was happening? Like, what was happening in my little tiny world in Vermont, when this thing was happening around the world that I never even knew about? And so I think I just had this curiosity and just desire to see other places. I studied abroad in college a couple times, and I think I think it's probably pretty normal. Like when someone goes to like one or two new countries, kind of gets that travel bug and it's like, okay, I can do this. I want to see more. It's not that hard, you know? Maybe the hardest part is like the long flight, really. It's
Yeah.
just so it's exhilarating. I think it's a lot of fun. And so yeah, I'll keep doing it. I mean, there's a lot of places I've never seen that I'd like to travel to. And we'll probably be back in Rwanda this coming, winter. There's a tea garden that I'm exploring a partnership with in Malawi. I've never been there, but I'm excited to visit. I am really passionate about partnering with as many of our suppliers directly as we can. So even if we go through a third party for ordering just to get those volumes up, I like to make the decision after like seeing the farms myself and looking at, is this like ethical, transparent? Is it, are they practicing regenerative farming? We can look at the certifications on paper and all these things, but there's nothing like visiting. You catch this vibe of like, how do people seem? I'll never forget the first time I visited the tea garden we partner with in Rwanda. I'd been to so many tea gardens, and the moment I drive up to this area, like this village area, it was like a new vortex. It was like just felt so happy. It felt healthy. People were smiling, looking like well fed, all these different elements that you cannot really know just from a piece of paper. You have to go. I mean, I'm a runner. I love to run. There's nothing like you get to a new place and go for a jog or something, like you get grounded and like feel the energy of a place just immediately, before, like, it's way better than just like driving through a town. So that's what
Oh
I love
yeah.
to do.
Well,
Yeah.
no, traveling seriously changed my life too. Backpacking right after college. I was just this like loser punk kid that would just surf and do nothing all day and just try to. I thought like, oh, I didn't have to do anything, and then when traveling literally switched the way I thought about things, and that's when I became an entrepreneur. It's when I saw things like, dude, I could figure this out, and I was right after college, and yeah, so I get it. And when you went to school outside of the U.S., right, in college, and you still speak French. I think I saw that you.
I
Is
just
that
practiced a little. We were in France. Yeah.
okay? That's
My
awesome.
son was like, "You're a little rusty, huh?" Because I was like, I would get going, with the basics, and then I get
Yeah,
like caught on some things. He would like look at me like, I thought you were fluent, but yeah, it's been a minute. But I think
yeah.
I wouldn't have been hired to do the job I moved to Rwanda for if I hadn't spoken French, because that was the primary language at the time. It's now shifting more to English, but yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I learned a language, yeah, before I had really done a lot of travel. So I think that that helps. And it's like, okay, wait, I've learned this language in school. I need to now apply it somewhere to make it
Yeah.
worthwhile. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, so I mean, now that we're on Rwanda, this is something that I was really interested in. I was thinking about like, what was one thing in Rwanda that you have basically learned about yourself that you would have never learned in the U.S.?
Hmm. I mean, I was gonna say in general with just the whole travel experience, how humbling it is too. I think just to kind of take a step back and realize what a little like tiny piece of the whole pie we are, and but also recognize the ripple effect we can have, so it's a it's complex, right? So on one side we're like very small. You could say we're just like a little speck in an ocean, and like someone could say, well, we don't even matter, right? But then that's not true, because like one person can have such an impact. It's that whole butterfly effect. So I think the thing that I learned probably the most in Rwanda, that I had only studied in like cross-cultural communication classes in college, was how different societies can be around the world, and how, I'm gonna say, not in a negative way, okay, but like how self-centered and self-focused we tend to be in the US, and that can perhaps support certain types of success in some ways, but also it can take away from that community focus. And so in Rwanda, it's we first, not me first. And so to learn how to just be one of many and not be like the boss or the leader or like I know best, and just kind of sit back and listen for a long, long time before I even communicated any ideas that I might have. And so I still try to have that attitude whenever I'm in a new place. And even every time I'm in Rwanda, is like, unless someone comes to me asking for advice or help, and I guess this is just good advice for like anyone anywhere, is probably not to offer it, because that's assuming that I know what would be better for someone else in their life with very little context. And so it's just been an incredibly humbling experience. And I think that's really important for just keeping the ego in check. And, I think as entrepreneurs, leaders, founders, like we can get very um, egotistical and self-centered and self-focused, and kind of even people who have low self-esteem. It's this strange thing that happens, but I think it's because we sometimes feel like we have so much responsibility and there's so much pressure that things are just riding on like how we um, act and live our life throughout the day. And it is important, but we're not we're not God, right?
Yeah. No, I love that you said me first. I mean,
We
we
first.
first. Yeah, we first versus me first, because it is tough. Like in America, it's all about me. And life is a lot more simple. And from where I come from, the Philippines. I was born in the Philippines, and so that's why everyone says, "Why are you so happy?" I'm like, dude, do you know how awesome America is?
Yeah.
Right? Like that's why I'm so happy. Like this is an
Yeah.
opportunity that you don't get if you are living in the Philippines. Like I would, it would have, I would never have had this opportunity if I wasn't here. And yeah, that's why the we first mentality I feel is so awesome. I'm glad that you said that, and I'm also glad about the advice part. Right? Everyone in America wants to give advice. And it drives me insane because we're all about. I like to share my experiences and hoping you could take away something that resonates with you. That's way better than, hey, you should do this. I'm like, well, when was the last time you did, or where's your context? Oh, that's just known. That's just things that we know. And I'm like, yeah, you're not really. You're talking about known advice. Like I could read that and Google that. I guess, but to actually connect with someone on an experience versus like talk about connecting quicker. You could connect way faster with someone over experiences than trying to give them advice. Because then I think we all shut down.
Yeah,
It's such an
yeah,
American thing. It's like,
those are like the best kind of mentors too, right? Is it
yeah,
just happens organically, naturally, and it's like typically, okay, so the best, I don't know, mentors or advisors I've had are just people I'm attracted to because of what they've shared, and often it's sharing from they went through a hard place, learning how they overcame certain things. Like I heard someone say the other day, oh, maybe it was on your pod. Oh, it was someone on your podcast saying like he learned more about people's failures in this business than successes. And I think that was really
wow.
profound. It was Curtis from Lemonicious.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's very smart.
Yeah.
And let's check this out. This is the Cirilla for the
Yeah.
gorilla.
Speaking of lemon.
This
Yeah.
is is this yellow gold? Is this
That's,
what you guys?
yeah. Well, yeah, did you see the TikTok trend we were hopping on?
Yeah, that you had someone that you
Labu.
met at Sprouts. That's really cool.
Yeah,
And she
she's
became your
awesome.
like marketing person. Like that's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. That's
Yeah.
organic right there. And
Oh,
you
yeah.
have got someone who's talking about your brand. And I mean, I really enjoy the lemon. And like other
Hmm.
than like the gorillas and the culture in Rwanda, what actually drew you there first? Like, and then how has it evolved now? Because now I could tell, like, wow, there is something there. But what was
Hmm.
it initially that said, okay, I'm going to Rwanda?
I think initially it was like I was just in a searching mode in my life in my 20s. I would say I'd go back and forth between like struggle and searching. It was kind of like they both ran parallel, but it was like always asking myself and higher power, like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Like, why am I here? And I need direction, and just like looking. And then just looking for like a higher purpose of some kind, and feeling a bit uh, just lost and unfulfilled with my work in my 20s and myself. And so when I had moved down to Asheville, and I lived in Vermont, then Boston, moved down to Asheville, and was offered this job in Rwanda. And it was like a God thing, because I don't know still to this day, like where the job post came from or how it got to me. But I was hired within 30 days by Skype virtually. My bosses hired me from Rwanda. They were American, and they needed
Wow.
someone to run their business while they came back to the States to have a baby for a year. So I said, that's me. I had experience in the food and beverage and restaurant industry, and spoke French, and was adventurous, and said, I'll be there. So that was like before I had my son, and didn't have a whole lot of responsibility in the States. So yeah, that's how I got there. And I knew that was the sign for me, that I was going to start to discover what my purpose was. And I think I had some deeper healing work to do. And there's nothing like going to a post-genocide country to recognize your own unhealed trauma. And over the next year, it certainly came out, and it showed me, okay, like this is the next layer of self healing work you have to do before you're going to get to that next level of leadership, or owning another business that you really are striving towards. So for me, it was like I got sober in my late 20s before I moved to Rwanda. I'm almost 20 years sober. And that was like step one. And then step two was kind of like this deeper work. And then the next level was, besides learning how to be a parent and mom and raising my son, which was huge in my life, it was like, okay, now we're going to build something. We're going to build something meaningful, of purpose. It started with a nonprofit foundation, and that was in partnership with a group of women in Rwanda. And then it evolved into this business I have today.
Wow. I mean, it's crazy how you just started and you just wanted to get a job and just wanted to get away and
Yeah.
heal, and then you found purpose, and like today when you said you're going there this winter. Okay, so
Hmm.
explain to me when you get off of that airplane and you smell the air and you're like, okay, I'm in Rwanda, and then you put your foot in the ground. Like, how does that feel today instead of like when you were just going to have a job and trying to heal? Now
Mm,
there's like so much, I feel like there's so much love for the country. That how does
yeah.
that feel when you smell the air and you're like, wow, explain that to me.
I always feel like I'm coming home when I go there. And it was
Oh,
the first time I landed, that's how I felt. But the first time I landed and stepped out of the plane, I felt like I was coming home for the first time. Like it was the first time in my life that I felt really at home. Like, and I realized I wrote an article about that experience, about how, like, in retrospect, looking back, I realized it was just me coming home to myself. That, like, before that, my love for travel was more of an addiction of like wanting to escape myself. And it
mm,
was that geographical cure. It was like, ooh, maybe if I go here or go there, like, all be different. But it's wherever we go, there we are. And so I was trying to like run away from something in myself that I wasn't looking at. But when I got to Rwanda, I was like, I'm fully here. I'm coming home. It was a sign I'm coming home to myself. And like, I'm just fully present in my life right now. And, that was also like a couple years after I quit drinking alcohol, which was a whole nother way of escaping. So I had different ways of escaping. But that experience in 2009 was just like, okay, I'm here. Like, how can I be of service? And ever since going back there, I have that sense. Now I'm just more comfortable and confident when I go, because it's like I know people everywhere I go, and it's a small country, and I feel welcome. But I'm also like, I'm here to work. I'm here to listen. I'm here to learn. I know each time I'm going to leave a better person. because it's my teacher. Like that country is my teacher, and the people in it are like the wisest people I've ever met. So it just becomes, I guess, more like normal every time I'm there. But I have such a deep sense of peace and relaxation and serenity during my time there. Even if I'm working, I lead groups there. I'm on during the day, but I'm not, it's a different kind of on than in the US. It's a different kind of hustle. It's a different kind of sense of just time because
Yeah.
people are present with each other. So I try like every time it gets easier for me to bring that back into my everyday life, no matter where I am. And I think I'm just much better about being that way, even when I'm home in the US.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like, starting a nonprofit there requires so much of your time, so much of your energy. You've poured so much of that service into a country. And how is that given back to you in terms of like running a business in the United States, right? Like, because that's two different countries, two different time zones, two different cultures that you're like, okay, how do I run a business? Because you sound so grounded, like your spiritual and your vibe and your energy. It's like, wow. But how do you use that to help you in running a business, like all the things that you learn in Rwanda, because at the end of the day, you're still running a business in the United States. So
Right.
that service, like how do you do all this? It's amazing. I
Yeah.
want to learn.
Yeah. Well, I've let some things go. I think I'm on a mission now to continue to simplify my life in terms of responsibilities and what I say yes to and what I volunteer for. And just because a big part of my service now is really to my family and like parenting my son for the last few years. He's going to be living with me before he leaves for college or wherever he goes. I mean, I'll always be his parent, but right now it's like it hit me recently. Like this phase with him is also going to end soon and it's just going to change and evolve. So I would say I'm just much more settled in terms of like where I'm at with my life in the US, like very happy with my family life and my recovery and sobriety. And, um, I love living in Asheville. I'm able to still do some travel, which is fun. Um, and I think I guess it's just like learning how to have adventures like in everyday life and just kind of learning how to be content and more peaceful inside. And so that's where like I don't feel the need to be like on the go all the time. I do have phases throughout the year where I feel like I'm constantly like moving around and on the go but I don't know. I guess it's just recognizing that humility too, like back to what we were talking about before, is it's such a relief to know that like the world's well-being doesn't depend on me, right? Because that's such an arrogant idea. And I think a lot of people forget that. Like, I had a boss back in the day. I was like this fair trade activist in my early 20s, and I just loved that work. I discovered what fair trade meant, and then I discovered what unfair trade was. And I was like, I need to change this system. And I had this boss and we were running World Fair Trade Day campaign. And I remember I flew up to New York City and we're sitting down at this cafe getting ready for this like monumental campaign activism, like activation with all these volunteers. And it was so powerful and I was so into it and I was taking it so seriously. Like it was so serious to me. And I remember when she's like, we're not saving lives right now, right? And because I was like, I don't know, and I felt like we were, but and I've carried that with me all these years. It's like as important as the work is we're doing, like it's great to be passionate and have strong values, but like we have to like I just want to be light and also have fun and be playful too. And if I take things too seriously or feel like the world depends on me for the next steps, like that's just a huge weight to carry. And it's not going to serve anyone, especially not my family who lives with me. Because I think that's where like we tend to unload stuff at home. So I just want to be like really responsible with my energy now.
Well, first off, I commend you for just being hyper aware that your son I think you mentioned he was 15 years old, and it's literally you only have like 3 years left with him, because he might do what you did. He's going to go travel the world.
He
So
will.
that's probably what's going to happen. So I'm glad that you're hyper aware that that's where you're
And
spending
he
your
starts
time.
to like he gets his license in a year. So
Yes.
I
So yeah, that's definitely because I have a 11 and a 13-year-old. I'm starting to feel it with my 13-year-old. I was like, wow, it's not far off, and she's very she's a go getter too. So I'm not going to get to keep her at home. That's fine. But one of the things I also like, I love that you said this for fair trade stuff because it's the same thing in trucking. It's unfair, and yes, I was gung ho when I first bought these trucks. I was like, oh, I'm going to change the world. I'm going to help all these drivers, but it's so difficult. Like there's so much resources that I will need to make this happen. So now I just doing every little thing I can to make sure I push it forward. But yes, it's not a weight on my shoulder anymore to like, okay, I can't save everyone. And sometimes they don't want to be saved.
exactly. That's
So
key right there.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
people
and
have to save themselves or
yeah,
want
and
to
we all,
be.
and
Not
this is
everyone
where
wants to change.
and absolutely, because you talk about community, right? And you are very, I see the word community. Like you could just Google Sarah, right, Delaney, and it's like community. You like building community, so it's like, yeah, a community can do it. It's not me. So it's like you said it, and building a community like you've done. Do you think they've got your back over at Rwanda? Like the community that you built, the nonprofit that you've given them. Do you think they appreciate what you've done for them?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why is
Yeah.
that important to you? How good does that feel, and why is that important to you?
Um, so the nonprofit has the word exchange in it, and that's the most important thing to me, is not about like giving. It can't be one-sided giving. There's always an exchange to every connection with someone. But I think unfortunately sometimes like it feels one-sided. And what I learned is like the this sort of old-fashioned charity model, or that model where like there's a group of people over here like always being the recipients of donations, or I don't know, services even. It can feel, what I've heard, is that can feel disempowering. So with everything I did, I always try to communicate like how much I'm getting out of it too, so that if I'm sitting down with a group of women on a farm, and we're doing a training, or we're offering some services they had requested, or we're offering seed funding for like a new business project, it's like we're going to map out what is the exchange going to look like? How are you teaching me? So it doesn't feel one-sided. So I think, I've also, after, I don't know, 10 years of going back since I lived there a little bit more, is just really like working on taking a step back and being like, because I don't think it's healthy like for one person to be needed so much, and there does need to be this point of kind of breaking away and like doing your own thing. And it's like, okay, you got this. It's like raising, like, you got this, like you can fly now, you are strong enough, I believe in you. And I think those are the greatest leaders, is like you almost don't even know they're there. Like they might be in the background, they're pretty quiet, but they've stepped back and just let their team like thrive. And so if there's problems in a company, usually it's a trickle down from the leadership.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. Like leadership is
It
really
is.
hard. It's
It
it's
is.
constantly learning, and now that you're in business, it's launched, everything's not everyone thinks, okay, now that you're on the shelf and you have this business, everyone thinks you're successful. So let's get into the entrepreneurial fake success, right? Because
Big
the
success.
and you have you've created a business, and
Mhm.
I'm sure there's a lot of struggles, and you seem very grounded. You're just by talking to you. And we go through a lot of emotions as business owners. Is there an emotion that you avoid, and when it catches up to you, like how does that like affect you in moving
Mm.
forward?
Yeah, I think like off the top of my head, it might be anger. I think it's hard
Mm.
for me to communicate anger. I didn't grow up learning how to really talk about negative emotion. It's not even negative. It's just one of the emotions. It's not as pleasant. So, but it's necessary. And usually, I've learned in recovery, usually what's behind anger is fear. I mean, fear is behind a lot of things, but it's sort of peeling back the layers. It's like, okay, why am I waking up resentful about someone not doing what I expected them to do? Or, it's a sense of maybe lack of control. So there's like some control issues there. It's usually like control issues or fear. So if it's fear, then I get to peel back the layer on that. It's like, okay, what am I actually afraid of? And it's just easier to kind of look behind that so-called emotion, because that first emotion actually usually isn't even an emotion. It's just like it's an effect of whatever is actually behind it. So I think there's like two types of fear. It's a fear of losing what we have or not getting what we want. So that's pretty easy. It's almost like a formula that I can back into.
Yeah, no, I mean, you don't want to be angry at your for someone not doing what they're supposed to do, especially when you're running a business. That doesn't make
Well,
you a
it
good
comes
leader.
out, it tends to, and because like we're virtual, there's no like, hey, let's go sit down, in an hour together in person, because that's always the best way. But
Yeah.
if it comes through an email, or if someone's ghosting me, let's say like a co-packer, fulfillment, like really critical partners, we don't own our own facilities. So that's like a constant challenge, is just like managing what's happening in someone else's facility when it involves like my product. Um, so if they're just not even replying, that's probably my biggest, not even a pet peeve, just thing that makes me angry over time, because there's such a ripple effect. Because then I'm answering to distributors, out of stocks, accounts. And what's behind that? It's fear. It's fear of losing our placement. It's fear of not having the sales that we'll need. It's fear of disappointing my customers. So it's a huge ripple effect. It's all connected. And, that's where like there's pros and cons to owning your own facilities. I wouldn't want to build a beverage manufacturing facility. But there is like it's got to be nice sometimes to have your own equipment where you can just, run the batch sizes you need for this month or this week, and never have out of stocks. But there's another set of challenges with that I wouldn't want to be dealing with.
Well, I could speak from experience on that one because I thought buying my own trucks and having my own equipment, controlling all that, oh, it sucks ass. Like
Yeah.
I would not wish it. Like insurance, the compliance, the
Yeah.
humans, like,
Breakdowns.
oh gosh, it is tough. So sometimes it's better, and I'm glad that you said the word ghosting. I think that's a lot. Anyone in sales or anyone trying to build something and you want to talk to people, I think one of the worst things I think that's a US thing. Because I have a lot of friends from like international, and they're like, US is like, they always want to ghost. They can't just tell you yes or no. Like, we could move on if you could just say yes or no. That's it. Or like, hey, it's not time. But why is it so hard to say yes or no? And then ghosting is like, that's going to solve it. And,
Yeah.
and from the look on your face, you're like, gosh, that is my
Well,
biggest
I'm
pet
thinking
peeve.
about two types of ghosting, because, like, I
Yeah.
hope I don't do it to people, but I am just
Yeah.
like at this point inundated with like inbound cold calls and emails, and it's just gets like, oh my gosh, I don't have time. So it's in that way, I don't feel like I'm ghosting. If I don't reply to someone I don't even know and it's
Yeah.
completely random, that's not my responsibility at this point. Um, I need to be responsible to my company. I'm never going to be rude, I don't think, but like, if I have an ongoing relationship with someone, like we're partners in business, like there we have contracts, things like that. That's what I mean. That's like painful ghosting. That's like, wait, like you have my money or my product, and what's happening today. And what I've learned, actually, this is like a lesson from Rwanda that I benefited from, is the communication style there, at least the way it feels as an American, is we usually interpret what's spoken in US culture to understand it. And in Rwanda, an advisor there shared with me, you have to read between the lines, and what's actually being communicated is what's not being spoken. So you have
Whoa.
to listen to what is not being said. And that's huge. So it might feel like ghosting, but what I learned after like years of managing staff there too is if I don't hear back from someone, it means they don't know what to say. And there's other cultures I've learned too, it's like a pride thing where it might mean they don't have the information or they have bad news and they don't want to share it. So those are really pretty bad signs. Like if someone I'm working with in Rwanda isn't responding, it means it's probably not good. And they don't want to disappoint me.
This
So
is
that's where,
so good.
yeah.
I'm like blown away. I mean, that just is that one little information, like read between the lines. And oh my gosh, I'm going to Rwanda.
So that's got me
That is like
wondering now if I feel like I'm being ignored
uh
in the US. I'm like, huh, could it be they don't want to disappoint me? They don't have the information and they're waiting till they do, or they just don't know what to say because they're getting the email. And they're
yeah.
probably not intentionally trying to like be an ass, right? They're just
Yeah.
like, it's probably like they're in a hard spot. But we
Well,
just want to know, we want to hear something because not knowing or being confused is a really bad place.
well, what's your number one struggle other than, not the ghosting part, but like running a CPG? Because I'm sure they're going to be listening to this. Like, what's the number one struggle that you have had to, or like whatever they are, multiples, but it's that as that gets that will that they will experience by going into the shelves or
They,
a national brand, like a brand trying to get into the
yeah,
shelves
yeah,
or trying to get into
yeah,
at every single refrigerator or
yeah,
shelf in the house. Like, what is it that
yeah.
you think like, wow, what is my number one struggle that I could solve and I'll be in everyone's house?
Well, yeah, it was gonna have to do with being in everyone's house because I mean, the number one thing is like how to integrate into enough people's lives on an everyday basis where they don't even have to think about picking your product up. It's part of their routine. It's part of their life because it's not that hard to get. I mean, it's hard, okay, but it's not as hard to get into the store. You hear it all the time. Like, okay, if you have the right packaging and you're meeting all the standards and it's like a hot category, like you have a good chance of getting that placement in a store or a chain. Um, and you even have a good chance, especially if you're running like sales and demos and all those things we do in the beginning of getting that opportunity, you have a good chance of having like decent sell through for people who are going to try something for the first time. So let's just say 25% of consumers will try something for the first time if they don't know anything about it. Um, but it's really like integrating into their life, and it's integrating into the lives of the other 75% who like, or maybe it's just another 40% who are very habitual. People are very habitual. And I hear all the time like founders, new products, new categories, new ingredients. Like I was studying ingredients this morning, and because I saw Whole Foods has this blended juice and they call out baobab. I don't even know if I'm saying it, that baobab fruit. I'm like, that's interesting. Like Whole Foods has their private label 365 juice blend next to the immunity with this ingredient. No one knows what it is. That's so risky. So I looked it up. I knew it was an African tree. I'm like, huh, I wonder what the flavor profile is. So I looked it up. I was studying it. It's like incredibly, it's actually got all these great properties. It's typically grown regeneratively. So I just actually ordered some samples of the leaves today. I'm going to taste it.
Wow.
But I'm like, I tried doing that with rooibos in the past, and we had it on the front of the can, and people love the flavor. They're like, they didn't know how to say it, so they didn't buy it. So you can still use an ingredient like that, but it has to be just, unfortunately, I think we all want to have like this thing that's so different, so unique. But the thing about that is like the best selling products out there still have like very common flavors. Look at the protein
Mm.
bars, right? There's like three flavors. Every brand has them. Every brand that's successful has them. Someone just came out with, we all know him on LinkedIn, like a new line of potato chips, three flavors, same flavors everyone else has. Why do you think? Because like that's what sells.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, talk about the habits because like I think about this because I go to Erewhon and I love
Great.
I just love how nice it is in there because I've got
Yeah.
OCD. So I'm like, if I could ever have to like if I just sell my companies, I would literally just work here and just
Yeah.
like
It's
make
so
sure everything's
beautiful.
perfect, right? But I go, how do you even know how to pick like someone if I was a CP if I was an owner of a beverage brand, I'd be like, you know what, my stuff is so much better than everyone else's, and
We
this is
all
why they
think
should
that.
have mine. Is that
We
do you
all
think this is
think that.
I
Everyone
just
does.
I,
It's
wow.
everyone thinks their own baby is the cutest, right? They're
Yeah.
not. They are to you.
But do you really believe that like Cirilla is like a lot better than what's out in the market right now? Like that you can truly say, you know what, I could replace some habits here by them
A
picking up
hundred,
Cirilla
yeah,
over. I mean, look
100%.
at
I
this.
wouldn't I wouldn't have come this far. I wouldn't come, past a couple years if I didn't believe that. So, but the thing is, it doesn't really matter. It matters what I believe, but what matters is that it sells, right? And so it's a balance of like right now I'm honing in on, okay, as we're looking at supply chain, we're looking at um, truly regenerative ingredients. We're looking at some really big goals like for the next couple of years in terms of not just sales, not just numbers, but also commitment to suppliers. And now with so many logistical challenges and tariffs and all that, like are we dialed in on like each ingredient that we plan on using for years to come? And with that is a commitment to the farmer partnerships we're developing. So it's not like just about, hey, okay, every whatever successful beverage company, let's just say, has a tropical vibe flavor. We should jump on that. I thought about it, like it's so common and trendy. It would sell. Okay, but when you look at the sustainability of mangoes, passion fruit, even coconut, pineapples, it takes 3 years to grow a pineapple. That would be completely out of alignment with our brand values. So so now it's like, how do we build guardrails that are tied to our pillars and values that we can always check in on as we're making decisions. So it's finding that balance. Okay, flavor's number one, but then, for the consumer, it's packaging attracts you, and then it's flavor keeps you, but then it's like, does it integrate into someone's lifestyle in terms of the integrity of the label, the nutritional label? Are those ingredients what someone wants in their everyday life? I had someone say the other day, because we're looking at sweeteners, and it's like, do we want to go like all zero? Because there's a difference between zero sugar and unsweetened. And there's a difference between sweetened with fruit juice, or let's say maple, something natural, and sweetened with, artificial sweeteners. We're never going to use that. And then we want to get away from cane sugar completely. We only have one flavor with cane sugar in it.
Is it
So
the one
that's,
here that I'm drinking? The
yeah,
one that yeah,
yeah,
because it is sweet. I was like, what do you guys use? I mean,
yeah,
it
yeah,
tastes good,
yeah.
but
But I mean, we're on path to like just be communicating very clearly across the entire line. You can count on us for X, Y, and Z. So what is that? Like you can count on us for like a very similar flavor profile, which it isn't right now. We have like different types of flavors. you can count on us for the caffeinated line being the same amount of caffeine and the same amount of sweetness. And then we're going to have this caffeine free line, which we already have is unsweetened because it's typically later in the day. There's no caffeine. We're never going to use artificial preservatives or sweeteners. Um, it's 100% regenerative organic by the end of 2026. It's already certified organic. And then you can count on us for these other values, these other like social, economic impact activities that we're doing with our partners, but that's not the reason people buy a brand.
No, but your story is awesome. Like I'm sold just you as a human. And I actually posted something today. It's like I just showed a picture of the beverage, the three angles of the beverage aisle at Erewhon and how perfect it was. And for me, I'm not going to sit there for 5 hours reading every single label. I'm already going to know the humans and the brand behind that. I already know what I'm going to grab. So it's like, who can grab that attention of someone? Because I'm just a dude that's going to go buy this stuff, right? That's going to have, and I have to know what I'm going in there for. And it's overwhelming. Like no one's going to read all these
They
labels.
have a
So
lot of unique drinks.
yeah. And then and you mentioned, it's so funny how you said pineapple and coconut, because, that's like a Filipino,
Hmm.
those are our fruits. It's tropical. And I go, is there really that many coconuts? Like it's endless. Like, is there an infinite amount of coconuts? Because there's so many coconut waters. And I did try the coconut carbonated. I was like, oh no, this is not good. But I did, tea has always been my thing. So I'm just wondering, like, what's your game plan moving forward to make sure that someone like me knows that Cirilla is something that we should be grabbing while we're at the stores?
Yeah, it's I think it's just getting to that point of bringing people into the team who like have different perspectives and speak a different language. And I have to be fully aware of like this little crunchy organic bubble that I live in and have almost always lived in. And that's not the norm. Like it's just little health food stores that I hang out in, and like most of the world doesn't. Um, and so I love that. Like I love just it's back to that humility. It's like recognizing, look, I wish it were this perfect. Like I wish it were just like, but look, I mean, the truth is, like, if I wanted to be quote unquote perfect, I would never manufacture a product because just that manufacturing itself, like, does the world need another canned beverage? It can't be just about the product. It has to stand for something bigger. It has to stand for, like, how are we actually making an impact on people's lives? And what is the community that we're building that people can plug into? What is the emotion that someone feels when they see a brand? Because I think those brands that really succeed long term, they build this like really deep emotional connection with the product, and the consumer or the user become like friends, right? Like we if you think about, I mean, think about your phone, right? Like it's like we are so attached to the brand of our phone. Like so many people use Apple, but what is that? It's not necessarily the best technology. I mean, I had this brand strategy advisor, Bob Russell. He's still in my life, and he's just a brilliant. He's brilliant with branding, and is just always teaching me like it's not about the features and benefits of a product. It's about like the ethos and the personality of a brand. That's what integrates into someone's life for a long time.
Wow.
So
I
in
love
terms of
that.
getting that, and I think it's probably a pretty long journey to build that kind of deeper relationship with someone that could last generations. Because you see, I even watch my family's patterns, and they're like hook into a product, and I think, wow, I'm seeing it every day. Like they're purchasing this thing a lot on a regular basis. It's part of their life, and then 8 months later, they're not buying it. And I'm like, what happened? Like, did they do something? Like, why'd you stop buying it? It's usually a food or beverage product that I'm seeing this happen. And they're just like, I don't know. I grew out of it, or I'm doing this now. or I decided I don't want this ingredient in my life, or whatever it is. And that's terrifying too as a brand owner. It's like, wow, you think you had them and then they leave. So that connection, that commitment, that loyalty wasn't enough. But there's, this small percentage of products that maintain that lifetime loyalty, which is just an intangible asset. Like you almost can't even put a dollar figure on. I think that's what I want. I mean, maybe that's not what all brand owners want. I think some people are like, hey, we're going to pop this thing off, sell it in 3 years. So they just want to build something that's going to have like massive velocity for a short period of time until they get acquired and then do something else. So that's
Yeah.
fine. That's
It's crazy.
fine. But if they don't
Yeah.
build that kind of like loyalty and integration into someone's life, it's probably, if it does get acquired, it probably won't make it.
I like that you said that because I'm a big fan of like GT synergy. And
Yeah.
like their story is just so awesome. Like I'll always buy whatever they have, or like Dr. Bronner's
Yeah.
soap. Like we have that at the house.
Great
And
examples.
I always go like, how the heck did these guys literally pull an apple, right? Like that is that is exactly why, and that's how I want to build. And I get attracted to a lot of founders that
Mm.
build the way like you build. That like I need to know who you are before I buy your shit.
Mm.
Because then I need to know what it's all about. Like, because we all know what Coca-Cola is all about. We don't have Coca-Cola products at our house, right? Like, we know what they're all about. But that's why we shop at like Erewhon and Whole Foods. We don't,
Mhm.
because I really want to support those brands. I love this story. I literally am. I'm the guy that buys the story, and so that's what attracted me to you. And I know we got to wrap up here. So
Yeah.
like, I want to ask you
I
one
gotta
last
say
question.
before you wrap, okay, but first,
Okay,
like that,
yeah,
the examples, those two brands, okay, the word that comes to mind is bold. So maybe the most successful brands just they dare to be bold, right? I think there's a book by someone named that. They dare to be bold and it's very risky. Like you have to be so courageous because it's going to end up also creating like potentially a divisiveness. It gets to the point where I think as leaders, we have to decide we're okay with not everyone loving us. So we have to put that people pleasing aside, which for me is hard because it's like, okay, we're going to make decisions now. They're going to be extremely bold and get us to that next level, but we're also going to like probably lose some followers in the meantime.
wow. But you're gonna gain some real loyal customers,
Yeah.
not the 8 month ones.
Yeah.
Well,
What's your
if
wrap
this
up question?
my wrap up question is if Cirilla didn't make it, and this was the
Aw.
last podcast that you
Oh,
had
I'm gonna cry.
to no, I mean I know I want people to know like what you're all about is that if Cirilla didn't make it and this was the last podcast that you would ever speak about your company, like what do you want people to see?
Think what I would want for everyone is to follow your heart and just face your fears because sometimes on the other side of the fear is what you've been looking for the whole time. And so stop playing it safe and being comfortable and take a chance. Just if that's too scary, think through worst case scenario. It's usually not that bad.
Awesome. And one more thing, guys, I want you to watch Sarah's TEDx. She's got an awesome TEDx. If you want to learn more about her and her story, you have to see it. It's actually 100% vulnerable. Well,
Thank you.
thanks, Sarah.
Yeah.
You're
Thanks. And go to
awesome.
drinksarilla.com.
Oh, yeah. There you go. That's how you
Drink
find her.
Cirilla. We're on TikTok at Drink Cirilla. We could use some more support over there. Rochelle's doing a great job. We're on
Awesome.
Instagram. And yeah, my TEDx is on TED.com. It's Sara Delaney. And thank you so much for having me. This has been fun.
Absolutely.